This is the second video in the series of 5 looking at drawing an alloy rim and tyre. And in this video I'm going to focus on some of the commands shown here, which will be reference planes, cut, extrude and circular patterns. Some of these have already been touched upon, and as mentioned before was the solid bodies. And at the very start you may notice on the left hand side there that we do have another we have 2 bodies in this. So I'm starting by drawing a reference plane, and I've picked the reference plane in relation to the front plane, and I took it as a distance away. You can rewind that and look at the distances I've used here. Again, in this here I've got some dimensions which I'm really winging it on the dimensions. I've picked a center line on the plane, and I've picked another line I've put in relation to this here of 22.5 degrees, and I'm drawing a line outside of the rim. Just once it's outside of the rim it should be fine, and I'm putting a perpendicular relation on that line and drawing a circle, making sure the circle doesn't touch the other line. Can be anywhere in relation to that. You may see me drag it and that sort of thing, and it's not that terribly important. I'm going to add a relation to this here. I want to be a tangent. I want this to be a tangent to the circle, so I'll give it a size here. And you can do this in a number of ways, and you can actually hold down the control key. You can actually press the circle and putting in just defining where the circle is. You can click on the line and hold down the control and pick the circle as well, and that'll give you a way of adding relation of a tangent to that. You can see there that that's what I've done here, and I've used a mirror to do the tangent on the opposite side. So that's fine with the straight lines if you wanted to do that, but I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to do this now with a spline, just because it'll give me a slightly better looking line. You can see that there's a curve. That curved appearance is going to look much better on the alloy when it's done. And again, I can do the same, use the same method again. You can see this touch in there. To add the relations, you can actually hold down the control key, or you can go up to the display references and add references to that. So again, I'm just doing the same thing as I've done with a straight line really, and I'm using the trim tool to take out the parts that I don't want. There is a thing in this here. If I did want to move, say, the points now, the circle is defined, and if I moved that there, I wouldn't be able to get it to move with it. So sometimes it can be an advantage or a disadvantage to define things early on. So you can see there I've got that shape, and it's outside of the overall rim, and I'm going to want that to cut through that center part of the rim. You can see again, if we go back to the design tree, you'll see that there's 2 bodies there. I'm going to draw another circle here now on the vertical line, and again I'm going to draw a shape that's on this here as well. Not overly important again about the shape, but I'll show you something which can happen. I've picked you can see there's a relation there now on that line that I've drawn in relation to the first sketch, part of the sketch that I've done, and that's going to cause me problems when I move further on in this here. You can see how many sizes placed in this here, and I'm going to draw a spline now from that there line to the circle. And that could be, you could even use a straight line if you wanted to in that there, and again we could add relations to this here whichever way we want. But I've got a little bit of a curve here now, and we're going to have to mess around with this here to get something that looks pretty good. But in adding relations to that there, you can see that I have a tangent to this here, and I can go about my trim. But then when I go to mirror this here, I'm going to have an issue here, because it's picking up on other references. So just so that it's clear on its own, what I would do here now is I would delete that out, and you can see a similar situation here, because again that initial reference of the line that I drew at the top. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to drag out the undefined end of the spline, and I can draw a line in here perpendicular to the construction line, and then mirror this, and that gets me away from the problem that I had, and I can have my lines defined and all the rest. So with that there pattern, you can see now I'm just getting it fully defined here. I've got these two shapes now, and that's basically the shape that's going to give me my pattern on the outside of the alloy wheel. It's not affecting the inner circle of the hub, and it's going to go through the outside part of this rim. So the sketch, just sticking a name on it here, pattern. Exit the sketch, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cut extrude, and you can see the shape that's been produced here. Make sure that it's blind, and I'm going to put a draft on it, which means it's sloping. It's not a perfectly square cut through it, which will give it just a slightly better appearance. And I don't want to merge the bodies, and I can select the bodies that I want to cut because I've got two bodies in this drawing. So you can see the green part now is what I want to cut. I don't want to cut the other part of the rim. And we should be good to go there now with that there. We're just going to drag the distance through it there to make sure that it's cutting through it. And you can see the draft, it's narrowing as it goes in. And there we have the start of the profile cut that we want to get for the alloy. Now what I've done is just turned off the planes just to make it easier to see what I'm at here. I could go and I could fillet the likes of the edge there on that particular surface. I'm going to put in some small 2mm or something like that, and it'll give it a better appearance as well too. And I'm doing this before I'm going to do a circular pattern because it'll take the pattern around with us. You may wonder why I'm not doing that on the inside part of the rim. Well, that's because they're two separate bodies, and it wouldn't work out. You could try it if you wanted to see, but it won't work because there's still two bodies there. You can see it on the left hand side in the design tree. But I'm going to do this first anyway. Is where I'm going to take my pattern. I'm going to go to circular pattern. I was picking up on the fillet, and then I want to pick up on the cut extrude. I'll pick a circular reference there, the rim itself, and you can see I've already picked 8. But you can mess around with that too. You could do 6 or whatever. See how it would look, and it's equal spacing. So now I OK that there, and you can see it's left the inside part of the rim because it's a separate body, and it's only cut that other one on the outside. And in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at how you work with these then as one body, how we can combine the two of these together, and there's other things that we can do to them then, and SolidWorks recognises it as one body. So that's pretty much the best part of the alloy wheel drawn at this stage.